going to go ahead and just cover a couple of quick topics and get some insight on you because I've worked with you now for, as I look back on my schedule here, we started September 9th. Our first session lasted about 2 hours. And we did a quick introduction into the mentoring session and got you going with trading. So I want to go ahead and welcome you, Bill. Thanks for joining me today, and truly appreciate you doing this video to help some of the other rookies, newbies, and people getting started with trading options. And my goal and objective today is just to share your journey, give them some insight on some of the struggles you've had, and maybe it helps people get over a little bit of the hurdles that they're struggling with. So I appreciate you taking the time after we got all these technical glitches fixed. So I want to run through a little bit of a couple of things on our agenda here. So we're going to first get into maybe a background and how you got into trading. So if you don't mind sharing some insight on what did you do before you did some trading, and maybe how you got into trading. I know you got a couple kids and stuff, and maybe that was the reason. But give me some insight on how you got into all this.
I've always wanted to trade, and I started about 5 years ago, just trying to trade stocks, trying to day trade with a group. And that didn't work out so well. I don't think I'm a day trader, so to speak. And then I tried trading currencies, and I found that the volume wasn't there in the currency trading, so that didn't really work out too well. And then a couple of years ago, I heard about options, and I started studying options. And I was with a kind of a slow group, and we didn't get, I didn't learn a whole lot beyond puts and calls and covered calls. And they went, laboriously into all these things. And finally, I was just studying, looking through the internet one day, and I saw Traders Fly, and I was, reading all about your teachings and your different courses that you offer, and about you yourself, and it all sounded good. And then I was planning on calling you, and then one day, I hadn't made the decision yet, and then one day, as you know the story,
Yeah.
I decided to trade live, and I went much bigger than I should.
Yeah. So before we even get there, what were some of the types of trades that you were kind of working before we even spoke? So before we even got there, what type of trades were you doing? Were you just doing like single calls, single puts? What type of trades and strategies were you doing at that time?
Right. I studied single puts and single calls with this group, and they, as I said, they laboriously went through with little cartoon pictures about the insurance man, in the house, and making all these, like, just so much into detail that I didn't need. I understand about insurance and things like that. How we sell insurance, and that type of thing. I get the concept, but the day just went on and on and on. So finally, when they got into vertical spreads, they started into spreads finally, and got into vertical spreads and iron condors. And about that time, I was thinking, if I stay with this course, I'm going to be in this course for 5 years, and I'm just barely making any progress. So I just went ahead because I wasn't too happy with the progress. So I started trying verticals and trading iron condors on my own. And it didn't go too well. It was going okay, but I thought, oh man, this is so easy. You just guess how far the price is going to go up and how far it's going to go down. And as long as it doesn't hit either of those points, then I'm going to win. And so it went okay for a few times, and then win some, lose some, and paper traded for quite a while. And then I dabbled a little in the live, and then the one day when I went really heavy, on a big trade in the live. I think I was on an iron condor, and I got into some big trouble. That's when I called you. And I,
That was our first coaching session, and yeah, that first time that we talked, man, yeah, give people some insight on that, because usually, actually, that's typically when a lot of people call me. I have a couple of mixed groups. One is when somebody's planning and looking for coaching and mentoring. They want to invest in their education, or the other time is kind of like they're freaking out. And there's a trade that's going bad. So I usually have those two worlds of people reaching out to me, and I think you were calling me unsure of really what to do in a big trade, a lot bigger than probably what you should have been in at the
way
time.
bigger. I should not have been there. I should not have. I don't even have any business now getting in a big trade on live, because my knowledge is expanded, hundredfold since that day. But I through your teaching, I've learned how much I really did not know, and how much I did not know about managing risk. And I'm just now learning, and have been learning since we got together, about managing risk. And I mean, that's more important than learning how to win, because you'll never be confident if you don't know how to manage risk. And that's one of the great things you do.
Yeah, no, for sure. The risk is always key. You got people that put on trades and they daydreaming, oh, if I do this, I can make that much. That's always like
Yeah.
a big thing. I can make that. And they're always hoping for what's not even, because for me, I always look at it as, if my losers are not as bad, the winners will take care of themselves. So if you can
Exactly.
manage the losers really well, then the rest is not too bad. So for example, if I always say, if the market's down 10% and you're down 2%, well, it's not as bad as just the overall market. You're managing your risk better. This business isn't about just all the time 100% wins. It's managing the risk end of it, and that to me is still a win if you're only down 2% and the rest of it is down
Absolutely.
10 or 20%. So yeah,
Yep.
so for sure. I mean, definitely managing that risk is key. So
Mhm.
regarding the risk, how is it different now, that as far as looking at the risk, how are you managing the risk a little more differently than what you were before? I mean, I'm guessing you were just throwing some trades out randomly in the past. Now a little bit more systematic as we kind of went through. But give me some thoughts on how you're managing a little bit of that risk right now.
Well, um, there's a thing called the Greeks in option trading. And without a knowledge of the Greeks, you will never know how to manage risk. And Sasha was amazing at teaching me all the fine points of the Greeks, because you'll be in a trade, for example, and all of a sudden your profit and loss is just falling like crazy, but the stock's only gone down maybe $1 or 2, and you're going, well, why am I losing so bad? The stock isn't hardly moving. And there's Greeks in there that have a lot to do with, or everything to do with, why the stocks are going, why your profit and loss is either losing or winning. And when you don't know, it's because one of the Greeks, you're having an issue with one of the Greeks. So my trading now is all about going to a thing that we call the Analyze tab on the Thinkorswim platform. And most of us with Sasha, to my knowledge, are on the Thinkorswim platform. In the group sessions, we've always all been on that platform. And it has the Analyze tab. And in there you can go and you can analyze each trade by going through the Greek, seeing how they're balanced, which Sasha will teach in all the courses he teaches,
So you
Greeks and
probably
all that.
spend what, 80-90% of your time in that tab.
Right in the Analyze tab, analyzing Greeks, and
Yeah,
how you can sort of take an educated guess on how the trade's going to go by how the Greeks look. So you can change various things on the Analyze tab
yeah.
to
I'm gonna show that
improve the
screen.
balance of your Greeks, and it will.
Yeah, so we got the Greeks all the way down here. Yeah, yeah, a lot of people trading with some of those other apps or phone apps that don't even show the Greeks. And yeah, absolutely, the Greeks definitely are a big part. So okay, so you're managing a lot just based on the Greeks, and you're setting up a max loss on your positions, or do you do recurring trades, the same trades over and over again?
That's
How?
what that's what I'm trying to work towards. Is I'm I'm systematically going through each of the stocks that I like to trade and weeding out the ones that just seem to be troublesome and keeping the ones that are more user friendly. And and they can probably change over time, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I try to keep not too many on my plate, but just enough to where I can go through maybe 10 of them or 15 at the most, and then uh, that way I'm more familiar with certain ones, and it helps my trading a lot.
Okay. So regarding moving forward into all of these, the Greeks, the risk management, and so forth, you know, because it took a lot of time. I mean, if you don't mind, can I show your schedule and all the stuff you work through to
Sure.
get to this level? I'm not going to
Yeah.
share any private things, but I'm just going to
Oh,
show
that's
people
fine.
the this is kind of the air table that you've worked through. So these are all the different sessions. Do you know how many hours we spent together? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, couldn't even count them. Countless
Okay,
hours.
so I always record things on the duration here. I don't know if you keep that tab hidden or not from you, but we spent about 1,300 minutes together, so that's about 22-ish hours just on video sessions together. So anyway, so
Yeah.
we've covered quite a lot of things here in the different one-on-ones and group sessions and so forth. So I guess to people starting out, how is the mentoring a lot different than maybe some of the other things you've done in the past? You said you did some other group or chat sessions before, or maybe you've done things like courses, or just looking at things on YouTube. How is this or the things we've worked on together different? Maybe share it from your perspective, because somebody else wants to maybe hear, well, why is this different? Obviously, I could tell them why it's different, but from somebody else's perspective, they might get a different feel because they might be in the same shoes that you're in.
Yeah, it's like night and day. For I've gone through probably 6 or 7 different instructors and courses, and they all sound good at first because they sell them. But unless you're doing a one-on-one mentoring and you're guaranteed that, what's going to happen is you buy the course and you're all excited, and the promise is, oh, don't worry, I'll get right back to you and all your questions, everything will be answered. Yet, they may answer in 24 hours or sometimes 48. And many times they won't answer at all. And when you have questions, it's like 24 hours later or 48 hours later, it doesn't mean the answer comes back, but it's not as important because you've gone to something else. It just doesn't work with a big lag like that. So, and this has happened on every thing except for Sasha. Every other instructor I've had in course has been that way. And it was just pretty much a disappointment, all of them, to tell you the truth. Although I learned a lot of good basics from them. I got a lot of my chart reading. I learned from other people and things like that. But I haven't, the only instructor I've ever learned really great stuff from is Sasha. And the mentoring is especially good because when you're one-on-one, I can ask Sasha, hey, what's this? How do I do this? And how do I do that? And, oh, can you just back up a little bit? How did you do that? We can communicate one-on-one, and I can get, 10 times, 20 times the work done that I could have gotten from, spending the same time on another course. So the mentoring is just invaluable. I've
Yeah.
made great progress. I feel like Sasha uses karate examples because he was a karate teacher in the old days. And
Uh,
I feel like I'm getting my purple belt or my brown belt. I don't know the belts exactly, but I know the brown's pretty far up there. So
There you go.
I feel
Nah,
like I'm getting higher up in the belts
you've been working
as I'm
hard, so for sure, for sure. You put your time in, and that's the thing. You got to put your work in. So so here's a big question or something that I'm sure people are curious. What would you say to people that are learning kind of this on their own, or learning to trade on their own, or options on their own? Maybe giving them some insights on some of that. What kind of struggles can they expect, or what would you recommend for them? Because some people, they say like, hey, it's okay. I don't need coaching. I don't need mentoring. I can do it. Other people want to learn through courses. Other people for me, myself, I did it by sheer fact of blowing a bunch of money, experience, and a lot of mistakes. So what would you say to the people trying to do it on their own?
I hate to say it, and maybe not with everyone, but I can tell you with me, it was taking forever. And I would assume that a lot of people are like me, and where you'll just flounder. And the problem is, every time you read somebody on a different YouTube video, now they got another angle, and now you kind of drop everything and go to that one. And it's like a young child, sees a prettier, package of candy, and they go for that one, and then they get, on another course.
Greener pastures, yeah. Oh, this is better,
yeah.
Or oh, that's better.
You'll flounder around a lot if you try to learn on your own. In most cases, you will flounder around, and you really won't get anywhere. And that's the problem. That's basically what I did for a lot of years before I settled down and with the Traders Fly.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a lot of work. I've seen a few people get through it, but it takes a long time, definitely a long time. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up here soon. I just have a couple more questions. Like, what kind of trades do you like to do now? We're kind of getting close to the end of our mentoring, since I've worked with you for so long, as far as your trades go, because we focus on 4 main trades in the mentoring. With the iron condor, the butterfly, the calendar, and the diagonals. And so far, now that you're getting more into the calendar side of things, what trades do you like to do now mostly, as far as maybe your live account goes, and what is it about them that you like, and what trades maybe do you think are kind of good starting points for people to look at the beginning, for beginners or whatnot?
I think the way that you structured me with, I think it's best to learn the verticals first, because that gives you the idea of spread trading, and it's an easy concept to grasp. On verticals, you just pick a strike price, and if you're higher, your stock is higher than the stock price, then the strike price. As long as it stays up there and doesn't come down to the strike price, you will win. Whether you take off the win early and get a smaller win, or you wait till the expiration date, you'll still win. So it's kind of an easy concept to grasp. And then the iron condor, which is like 2 verticals, one on the top and one on the bottom. As long as the price doesn't go up to the top or down to the bottom, you'll still win. And those are easy concepts to grasp. So I think that's a great place to learn the concepts of spreads, rather than the old traditional up and down stock trading. Go up, you win, go down, you lose. And then you learn the next one on the agenda that I was taught from Sasha was butterflies. And that's a step up. It's a little more complicated, and it's more in depth.
Is that the one that you're doing now? Is that the one that you like the best?
I'm still evaluating, because now that you got me into calendars, I'm liking calendars a lot also. Okay. Calendars are kind of more simple to put on, but they're effective, and I have pretty good luck with them. I'm doing pretty well with calendars. So, and I also think it's the situation. As Sasha always tells me it's calendars and spread trading called diagonals are better the uh, if the volatility is way low and you expect it to go back up, then calendars and diagonals are the two best to trade in that situation. If
Of
the
course, depends
volatility,
on the duration, though, as you know.
uh-huh,
The duration, of course, is the key. The longer the duration, the more volatility. So if we
more
do
volatility, that's
short
right.
duration calendar, is going to not affect the volatility as much. But yeah, absolutely, the volatility can play. It's a
Right.
nice role in
Yeah.
the
So
calendars.
so they all have their place, and they're sometimes it's better to use a calendar or diagonal, and then in other situations it's better to use butterflies or iron condors. So they all fit in different situations. So it's good to know all of them, and I'm really looking forward to diagonals because I suspect as much as I like calendars, I think I'm really going to like diagonals from
Yeah,
what I
well,
see.
they're very flexible. It's one of the
Yeah,
most. The once you get into the double diagonals, you'll be.
yeah,
It's one of
double. I'm
it'll
yes,
be one of the more flexible strategies out there because you can tweak
I'm
all
looking forward to that.
your
Yeah.
trades. More crazy though to put on, but yeah, I'm sure you can handle it here soon as we get
Yeah.
into that here next month or so. Excellent. Well, I have one last question, maybe, or really some piece of advice, if anybody was wondering. Is there any other tidbits or things that you want to mention for anybody else that's kind of getting started? Maybe a piece of advice, thoughts, ideas moving forward, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
that you could leave them with.
Uh,
Because
I
you've been
would say,
through the hurdle, and I
yeah,
find people that have been over the speed bumps recently are the best people to kind of ask.
right. There's a lot to offer on Sasha's courses from like more basic, clear through intermediate, and then into his like the mentoring classes. So I mean, you can choose any level you want to start at. He'll take you through it, and you'll still learn all the Greeks. You'll learn all the things you need to know to do option trading. So I definitely would look into it. Any of his classes or courses that he offers are great. Because I've seen a little bit all of them. Because in the mentoring class, I have to tell you that's the best as far as I'm concerned. Because you get a little piece of each one of his courses, and you learn diagonals, you learn calendars, you'll learn butterflies, you'll learn iron condors, and you learn verticals. You learn all of it, and just how to option trade in general. So that's why I like another reason besides the one-on-one why I like the mentorship so much.
Yeah, in the mentoring there, if people are curious, what Bill's talking about is that basically you get access to pretty much all the courses as needed. I mean, I try to guide you guys so that way you're not too overwhelmed at the beginning. But it's, if you wanted the course the other week, we had a new course that came out. You wanted it, and I just popped it in and gave you the access for it. So definitely any of the content or material as requested is included with the mentoring, because we're really trying to make sure that you get the amount of work and knowledge that you need. Whereas if you just buy an individual course, it's just that course. But here, I just want to make sure that people aren't overwhelmed that, hey, you got like these 20 courses or 10 courses or 40 hours. It's just we structure the videos accordingly, obviously, as you know. So that way you're
Yeah.
not overwhelmed. So anyway, well, thanks, Bill. I appreciate your chat and time, and and for anybody else that's watching, if they're interested more in the mentoring program, it's 6+ months usually, and you're kind of there already, Bill. You're at about 6 months.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
yeah, just figure September to now.
yeah,
I
well,
hope you'll keep me on a while because
the
I still
December
have a little more to learn.
yeah, December time was a little slower, obviously, with the holidays. But yeah, it's not easy because a lot of people think it's oh well, I'll get this stuff in 3 months or a month or two by watching YouTube videos. And I always
Yeah.
say YouTube videos for me, as I record them, 90% of my stuff even is kind of basic. When we get into the courses, they're intermediate and coaching and mentoring is kind of at your level or as advanced as possible
Yeah.
for your level. So so it's a whole different world for people that are just hopping around on YouTube and that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, stick to Sasha's, get something, and then just stick to it and just learn it all and practice it all. And don't get sidetracked. It's so easy to get sidetracked, right? Some guy talking about some quick way. There's no quick way. You have to learn this stuff and learn it. Just learn everything that Sasha is teaching. Everything. Try to learn as much as you can as what he knows, and you'll be successful if you stick with it.
It takes a lot of work, that's what I always find
It's a lot of time and work. It absolutely is.
People come in and say, well, if I do 1 or 2 sessions, can I get it with 1 or 2 sessions, or get this course and then I'll make my money back from it and pay for the course? Like, I don't think you're fully grasping the concept here. It's kind of like if I learn how to do remove an appendix, can I just go perform some medical surgeries and just pay for my med school?
I watch a couple of YouTube videos and do some brain surgery.
Yeah, so it's a different world, but as long as you have a good grasp of things, but it takes time to get there. There's a couple of big components to really getting it, and then you're getting there, and you're so far into a lot of these trades that we're doing. So that's why I wanted to take a moment to chat with you here, just because you're still fresh and you can give people some insight and shed some light on a little bit of the difference in the journey and kind of what you've been through for moving forward into option trading and doing some trades in your live account now. Because I know, but basically Bill is doing live trades in his account, and in the mentoring we always do the paper platform because I want your trades to get in trouble. But as people progress, they slowly merge into doing live accounts and doing their own kind of trades. So, keep working it, as I always tell you, and stick with it. And I appreciate you taking the time today, Bill, to chatting with us and letting the people listen and, giving them a little piece of you and some takeaways, I guess, for the future.
Yeah,
So
it was my pleasure, Sasha.
yeah, thank you.